am John and welcome to SG Global News. From the much-awaited Trump-Zelensky talks to Catholic Church now needs of alleviating the food shortage in Toronto, here are the stories. The much-anticipated meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky took place in the Oval Office. Zelensky, who wore a black suit, hailed the talks as a success and described his conversation with President Trump as the best he had ever had regarding the issue.
The much-awaited talk between Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and U.S. President Donald Trump ended on a positive note as the meeting paved the way for a potential trilateral summit aimed at ending the war. Zelensky, attired in a black suit, was accompanied by a delegation of European leaders to the Oval Office. President Trump warmly received the Ukrainian leader with smiles, and Zelensky in turn expressed gratitude to Trump for his efforts to alleviate the conflict that has ravaged the Slavic region for 3 years. Afterwards, both heads of state, along with the European delegation, proceeded to the Oval Office to officially kickstart the high-stakes meeting. During the discussions, President Trump pledged that the United States would help guarantee Ukraine's security, with assurances to be formalized on paper with 7 to 10 days. In addition, Trump and Zelensky finalized a weapon package worth $90 million, including the purchase of custom-made U.S.-manufactured aircraft and air defense systems. The European delegation, consisting of UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron, vouched for the inclusion of Zelensky in upcoming talks concerning ceasefire agreements. Although the meeting was cordial, no major breakthrough occurred in the fruition of the deal. Nevertheless, both parties emphasized that dialogue would remain the central mechanism for resolving the ongoing crises. Observers noted that the talk signaled a renewed commitment by Washington to play a decisive role in Eastern European security. The meetings might also pave the way to a potentially trilateral summit, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, in future.
Left-wing in Bolivia face a surprise rout in the Bolivian presidential election as a centrist candidate Rodrigo Paz clinches first place in the presidential election held on Sunday. Center-right candidate Paz, who has run in campaign on reversing the previous government's welfare policy, leads the first round of the election with 32 awards.
2 decades of left-wing rule came to an end in Bolivia as the socialist presidential candidate failed to advance to the second round of the presidential election. In the high-stakes poll held on Monday, the centrist candidate, Senator Rodrigo Paz, led the 8-way race by attaining 30% of the vote. Paz, who himself represented as a moderate, ran on a campaign to reform Bolivia's state-directed economic measures, a policy that had been a hallmark of the country's 23-year-old left-wing rule. The right-wing candidate, Jorge Correggio, advanced to the second round by securing 30% of the vote. As neither candidate secured 50% of the vote, a runoff election will take place in October. The election represented a major blow to the country's left-wing establishments as incumbent socialist President Luis Acare-backed candidate Eduardo Castillo managed to secure only 3% of the vote, placing him in the 6th in the 8-way race. The resource-rich South African nation is currently experiencing a soaring inflation. This result also reflected growing hostility towards the country's left-wing establishment, which many citizens blame on the expensive welfare policies adopted by the previous government.
Archbishop Boris Gutsiak denounced the recent United States-Russia summit in Alaska, stating that leaders failed to confront key moral geopolitical questions surrounding war. He cautioned that the ultimate cause falls on the Ukrainian unless the concerns are effectively resolved. The summit concluded with a resolution despite claims of constructive dialogue, according to reports from the Catholic news agency.
Archbishop Boris Gutsiak, who leads the Ukrainian Catholic Archieparchy of Philadelphia, sharply criticized the August 15 U.S.-Russia summit in Alaska as reported by Catholic news agency. According to him, the talks between Trump and Putin did not confront the essential moral and geopolitical issues of the war in Ukraine. As reported by Catholic news agency, The Archbishop said the meeting amounted to a red carpet welcome for a leader he described as a genocidal war criminal. He pointed out that the talks failed to secure any commitment from Russia. He further took issue with the pursuing peace backdrop displayed at the press conference. He emphasized that Ukrainians are still paying the ultimate price even as the cause of freedom, justice and peace remains stalled. He further noted that Ukrainians' resilience and solidarity continue to demonstrate the lasting power of human dignity and natural freedom. Trump initially voiced hope for a ceasefire before the conference, but reversed course after talks with President Vladimir Zelensky and European leaders. A lasting peace deal, rather than a pause in fighting, was seen as the most viable way forward. Together, the summit's outcome and Gudziak's comments highlight enduring international concerns about the Ukraine conflict and the ethical responsibilities of world leaders.
Tens of thousands of women and girls came together on Sunday, August 17th, at the Marian Sanctuary of Piekary-Śląski for Poland's annual pilgrimage. Apostolic Nuncio Archbishop Antonio Guido Filipazzi urged the faithful keep God visible in daily life and called them missionaries of Christian hope. Pope Leo XIV extended greetings to pilgrims following the Sunday Angelus, Vatican News reported.
Tens of thousands of women and girls took part in the annual pilgrimage to Piekary-Śląski, a Marian shrine in Silesia, on Sunday, August the 17th. The event coincided with the centenary of the Archdiocese of Katowice and the 100th anniversary of the coronation of the miraculous image of Our Lady of Piekary, also known as Our Lady of Justice and Social Love. Archbishop Antonio Guido Filipazzi, Apostolic Nuncio to Poland, presided over the liturgy. According to Vatican News, he urged participants to make God's existence visible in their lives and communities, encouraging them to be missionaries of Christian hope for families and society. Pope Leo XIV greeted the devotees after the Sunday Angelus in Castel Gandolfo, calling it a great journey and imparting his blessing. Bishop Marek Goodlaw, Archbishop of Katowice, praised the vital yet often unseen role of women in society. He referred to them as prophet of truth and love and appealed to them to help the world regain peace, not through force, but through presence and care. The event drew participants from across Poland and abroad. Many pilgrims showed their devotion and heritage by wearing folk costumes and professional uniforms.
Bishop Timothy Yu Gyong-Sean, who served an auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Seoul, passed away on August 15th after a long battle with cancer. Bishop Timothy was known for his modest lifestyle, humility, and compassion to Seoul, poor and deprived.
Bishop Timothy Yu Gyong-Sean, who served as an auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Seoul, passed away on August the 15th after a long battle with cancer. He was 63 years old. He breathed his last at St. Mary's Hospital, Seoul. Bishop Timothy was diagnosed with stage 2 bile duct cancer in January last year. A memorial mass was offered for the late bishop at Myeongdong Cathedral in Seoul on August the 15th, presided over by the Archbishop Peter Chung-Soon-Taek. Bishop Timothy Yu Gyong-Sean was born in Seoul in 1962. After graduating and completing his military service, he went to study in Germany at the University of Würzburg. He was ordained to the priesthood in 1992 by the Archdiocese of Seoul and later earned a doctorate in theology. Pope Francis appointed him an auxiliary bishop of the Seoul Archdiocese in 2013. Bishop Timothy was known for his modest lifestyle, humility, and compassion for the poor and the homeless. He was the head of the Archdiocese's social service ministry and was involved in raising donations, leading volunteers, and offering free meal service for the needy. According to the Catholic Times of Korea, the late bishop used to visit homeless Catholics every week to dispense sacraments and pray the rosary with them on the streets.
As Canada is plagued with crippling food shortage, Archdiocese of Toronto comes to rescue of people who are affected. Share Life, the annual charitable appeal of the Archdiocese of Toronto and the Catholic Charities of Canada, has pledged $800,000 to alleviate the crisis. Several parishes in Toronto has also opened food banks and decided to allocate 50% of last Sunday's tithe to provide food for the deprived via community kitchens.
Amid the growing food insecurity crisis in Canada, the Archdiocese of Toronto is responding with its largest ever contribution to fight hunger. As per the Archdiocese's website, Share Life, the annual charitable appeal of the Archdiocese of Toronto, Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Toronto and the two generous anonymous donors have pledged a combined $800,000 in food security grants for 2025. According to Statistics Canada, 8.7 million Canadians, including 2.1 million children, live in households where food is not always available or affordable. In March 2024 alone, food banks across the country recorded 2,059,636 visits, the highest monthly total in Canadian history. Dr. Agnes Thomas, Executive Director of Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Toronto, stated, "Food insecurity is a daily reality for too many, and it's more than just hunger, it's a loss of dignity. These grants provide immediate relief, but they also show people that our faith community cares deeply and acts with compassion to support them through their struggles." The Society of St. Vincent de Paul Greater Toronto Catholic Council will disburse half of the funds set aside for parish-based food banks and meal programs. Catholic Charities will allocate 50% of the funds for agency or community-run food initiatives. 19 parish programs and 15 community organizations received timely funding in 2024 to combat hunger. This year's grant recipients will be selected by October.
This is all for today. Until we meet again.